Welcome back to Hardware Unboxed. Today we are going to discuss why right now is a good time to build a new gaming PC. It was about this time last year that we talked about why building a new gaming PC was a bad idea, but thankfully quite a bit has changed since then, and we'll go over all that in this video. So I think it's fair to say that this time last year things weren't great. DDR4 memory prices were through the roof, graphics card prices were also through the roof, and availability was extremely poor. And on top of all of that, we were at the end of a few product cycles. From AMD, we had a number of product releases incoming. On the horizon were their second generation Ryzen CPUs, and at the time we did know the improvements wouldn't be huge, but we did suspect that the release would help drive down pricing of first gen parts, and this is exactly what we saw. Then for entry-level gaming, we were just a month away from the arrival of Raven Ridge, AMD's Zen-based APUs, and at a point when getting your hands on a discrete GPU was costly and difficult, the promise of decent integrated graphics couldn't have come at a better time. Then on the other side of the fence, we had Intel and their yet-to-be fully released Coffee Lake series, along with supporting chipsets. Back in January of 2017, you could still only pair an 8th gen core processor with a Z370 motherboard, and pricing started at $110 US. For budget shoppers, this really didn't make that much sense, and it almost eliminated the otherwise great value Core i3-8100. We knew motherboard makers at the time were prepping B360, H310 and H370 motherboards. We just didn't know that they would mostly end up being a waste of time. So fast forward a year, what's changed? Well, for one, memory prices have dropped significantly, and this is something we predicted would happen by early 2019. Back in January 2018, the cheapest 16GB DDR4 kit that I could find cost $170 US, and today we're at almost half that figure, so I think it's fair to say that memory prices have dropped. Take G-Skill's popular Ripjaws 5 series for example. A 16GB kit of their DDR4 3000 memory cost just $105 US back in January of 2017. However, after prices continued to rise throughout 2017 and peak by November, we entered 2018 with the same memory costing $200 US based on official pricing from Newegg. That's essentially a doubling of price a year later, and for much of 2017 pricing held steady at $180 US and didn't start to fall till around August. Finally, we're now back down to early 2017 memory pricing, so I don't expect DDR4 prices to fall much further from this point, but at least we can now shave an extra $100 off the cost of a gaming system with 16GB of memory. Now, moving on from memory to graphics cards, it's fair to say that the demand from cryptocurrency miners has died off now, that the value of cryptocurrency has pretty well imploded. It's collapsed in on itself, let's say. Graphics card pricing began to fall quite sharply in August last year, and naturally availability improved at the same time. Take the Radeon RX 570 for example, currently our favorite budget mid-range GPU. It comes at an MSRP of $170 US, and upon release in April 2017 was available at that price. That said, just 2 short months later, prices began to increase, hitting $190 US, then $210, and by September was selling everywhere for at least $250, though most outlets were unable to provide stock. By January 2018, the cheapest RX 570s cost $290 US, and that was an insane 70% price hike from its release 9 months earlier. If that wasn't bad enough, by February, prices hit $335 US at Newegg, while other outlets were charging $370 US or even more. By June, availability and pricing started to improve, though gamers were still faced with ridiculous asking prices. You know things have been bad when a $290 RX 570 seems like a good deal. Then, by mid-October, we were finally starting to see pricing drop back down to MSRP levels, and gamers rejoiced at the opportunity to buy 1 or even 2-year-old technology at the release price. Over the coming months, prices continued to drop, and holiday sales saw the 570 selling for as little as $130 US, which is an incredible buy. Today, you can expect to pay around $150 US, which is still a great deal, especially for a GPU that can easily tear through the latest and greatest titles using high quality settings at 1080p. For now, this is as good as graphics card pricing is really going to get. It won't be until AMD unleash Navi later in the year that we might see improved performance at these price points. And frankly, if you need an upgrade now, I just wouldn't bother holding out. Nvidia's 2050, that'll come out soon, but I don't expect that will hold a candle to the price versus performance ratio of something like the RX 570, for example. As for CPU prices, well, it depends on which way you want to go there. Right now, Intel CPUs are still a little overpriced. The Core i7-8700K, for example, has an MSRP of $360, but right now seems to be typically selling for $390 US. So it's not terrible, but it's not great either. Most Intel CPUs, such as the Core i5-8400 or Core i3-8100, are about $10 to $20 over the MSRP. So not a really big deal, and if you want to go with Intel, then, well, this won't stop you. Honestly, if I was after an extreme high-end gaming rig with an RTX 2080 or 2080 Ti, I'd get either the 8700K, 9700K, or 9900K. So I'm by no means an AMD fanboy or shill or whatever the loopy extremists on the other side want to come up with. That said, if I was a budget-conscious shopper, which I definitely am, I'd get the Ryzen 5 2600 for $165 US, and right now you do get a free copy of Tom Clancy's The Division 2. Okay, enough shilling now. My check had better be in the mail, AMD. Oh, that one is going to land really poorly with the folks who don't understand sarcasm, which could be quite a few people if the YouTube comment section has anything to go by. Moving on, in all seriousness, an unlocked brand new 6-core 12-thread CPU for $165 really is an incredible buy. If you pair that with a $150 RX 570, then get yourself $100 worth of DDR4 memory, which at the moment is a 16GB kit, then you'll end up with an exceptionally good 1080p gaming machine. In fact, Tim recently built such a machine and he thinks it's pretty brilliant. And this is coming from a man who often games with an RTX 2080 Ti on one of those $2,000 US 4K 144Hz HDR displays. But like I said, there are a number of affordable CPU options from both AMD and Intel right now. You could certainly argue, and I'm sure many of you will in the comment section below, that it would be better to wait for AMD to release their Zen 2 based processors. The 7nm Ryzen 3000 series should be pretty bloody impressive. But keep in mind, you could wait 4 months for those parts, and even then it could be a few more months before we get the sub $200 models. Of course, if you can wait, well, feel free to do so, but in this industry there's always something new right around the corner. And I feel like with what's available right now, you can't really go too wrong. Also, one way to measure the value of a PC is by what it enables. And right now, affordable GPUs and CPUs enable a seriously fun gaming experience. So if you've been holding off, then I recommend you just stop doing that. Stop robbing yourself of any potential fun. And just finally, there's also the used market. And recently we did a big GPU roundup looking at a whole heap of GPU categories, and then obviously the graphics cards that are available there, and there was plenty of GeForce 10 series cards, Vega, RX 400 and 500 series graphics cards, so plenty of pretty new graphics cards at reasonable discounts, so certainly worth checking out if you're trying to save every last dollar. And that is going to do it for this one. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to hit the like button for us, subscribe for more content just like this, and if you appreciate the work we do at Unboxed, then consider supporting us on Patreon. Thanks for watching. I'm your host, Steve. See you again next time.